Don't. I
Okay.
love you so much.
Okay, well, I do appreciate you for the love. We're gonna move on to the next guest right now. So everyone, just go ahead and give us a minute. Quite frankly, somebody in the chat says, "How are you still relevant?" How are you still coping after all these months? Get a load of
Hello.
that, Joker. What's going on, Spud? You were spamming MAGA in that comment section, so you support the Orange Menace, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
I was
why?
trying. Well, I mean, I don't know. I live in Georgia. I've served the military, and I just while I was serving in the military, I only met one Democrat. Everybody else liked Trump.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that like we'll see different like industries for whatever reason hold like social stigmas around certain beliefs. I think that's just kind of what happens with when a lot of humans coalesce in the same space. And I think that for whatever reason, we've just seen like an indoctrination of military service members towards the Republican Party because propaganda and a lack of being informed on politics will tell you that they're the patriots, but I think that's unequivocally false. Uh,
Well,
I think
I
that Donald
mean,
Trump is the biggest traitor to this country since the Civil War, and he's a genuine threat to the Constitution in which you are supposed to protect.
well, I'm not in the military right now. I actually just got out.
Well,
All
thank you
I'm
for your
saying
service
is
nonetheless.
oh, thanks, Dean. All I was saying is, throughout my entire service in the military, I just feel like Republicans are more patriotic, and that's strictly from being there. I don't know if you know any vets, but or had any vets up here, but yeah.
Well, so the reason why I don't think that MAGA is more patriotic is because Donald Trump tried to coup our civil electoral processes and steal a presidential election, which, if he was successful in doing so, would have silenced the voice and the vote of every single American in 2020. In December of 2022, he also called for termination of the Constitution. So far in this term, he's violated court orders on multiple circumstances, and he's called media organizations straight up illegal, disrespecting the constitutional First Amendment right to freedom of expression and freedom of press, as well as the idea that he ran on another violation of the First Amendment, wanting to lock people up for burning the American flag. And he told NBC that he wasn't joking about wanting to run for a third term, which would be a violation of the 14th, and not 14th, of the 22nd Amendment. So, I mean, we just simply don't see, sentiments from MAGA that aid and abet in wanting to protect civil liberties, rights, and freedoms, and the Constitution as a whole, which I think is like a threat to the patriotism of this country. I think that it's very unpatriotic.
I wanna ask you something else. So this is some other debates, or that I have really with my wife's a Democrat and I'm a Republican, so we try to avoid politics. Do you think racism towards white people exists?
Well, racism towards white people. Here's the thing. I think it depends on how you define racism. I'm like pretty sympathetic to like a definition of racism, in which would like include like structural influence and power, and I think that because white people hold that, in accordance with the definition of racism that I'm more sympathetic to, no. But I mean, I definitely do think a lot about it, and I'm pretty open to having my mind changed. But it's like the more I think about it, the less sympathetic I am to a definition of racism that would include racism towards white people.
Okay. And I had another topic. I don't know if you wanted to discuss. What do you think about the kid that killed the other kid at the track meet?
Well,
Would you?
I think I've like heard about it, but I haven't really done any research into it.
Oh, I feel like a lot of these people that are supporting him completely forgot about the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, and it just it
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't.
you don't remember
No, I
the
know what Kyle Rittenhouse is, but I don't
it's pretty
really
much the same,
remember.
almost the same scenario, except Kyle Rittenhouse was getting stomped out, and this guy was in the wrong tent trying, and he was asked to leave. But
I
yeah, I
don't
don't know.
understand how this correlates to Kyle Rittenhouse. But like
It
specifically about like with the instance of what you're referring to, I don't know any of like the specifics of the case. All I know is that somebody ended up dying. I've heard a lot of people say that it was self defense. A lot of people say that it wasn't self defense. I just haven't looked into it myself, so I don't know.
Yeah. So what would you say to the hundreds of other active service members? Mind you, I just got out, that want Trump as president, that are actively putting their lives on the line.
Yeah, I tell them to come listen to
Meanwhile,
my live because the reasons why they put their lives on the line directly contradict the reasons why they support Trump. And in fact, Donald Trump is the greatest threat to the American democracy and the American Constitution that this world faces, compared to any country overseas or a group of people overseas. And I think that needs to be recognized. But listen, I want to ask you this question because you asked me if I think that racism towards white people exists. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that racism towards black people not only exists, but is prominent in America today?
I don't think there is any systematic racism. I think there are racist people, but I don't think there's nothing that I can do that a black person can't do or a Hispanic person. And I just don't believe in organizational racism. I don't believe it exists.
Okay.
I believe there are racist people.
Do you mind if I ask you a question just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Such as the idea that 98% of our presidents have been white, a disproportionate amount of like big business owners, Fortune 500 CEOs, execs, and like in institutions with a lot of like power over society, or like all disproportionately white. Like the first thing that comes to mind is, well, like the reason why these individuals are disproportionately white is because black individuals have not had the same opportunity historically or now to get in those positions of influence or power. But I feel like if you reject the existence of systemic racism and you reject the notion that black individuals have had less opportunity compared to white individuals to be in these positions of influence or power, well, then how do you explain it?
I mean, Barack Obama was black and he was literally at the top of the top positions of America. So
Right. I don't dispute that, but I mean that also doesn't dispute the claim that it has been disproportionately white individuals who have not only served in the roles of the presidency of America, but also like Fortune 500 CEOs in positions of power and influence across our country. I'm not claiming that black people cannot exist in positions of power or influence. I am claiming that black people are significantly disadvantaged, contrasted to white people, to be in those positions of, power or influence. And the idea that black people are significantly disadvantaged compared to white people is an example of systemic racism materialized in America today, right? But if you deny that that's an example of systemic racism materialized in America today, can you explain to me why a disproportionate amount of like leaders and individuals with structural and institutional power and influence are white?
I actually, there's more advantages for black people.
Can you answer my question? I've asked you this question twice. Can you please answer it?
You just told me. I'm answering it right now.
No. Because once again, the question that I'm asking you is, how do you explain under your view that rejects systemic racism, specifically why a disproportionate amount of Fortune 500 CEOs, leaders of big tech companies, individuals with influence, power, and money are all white? How do you explain that the average white American has a higher socioeconomic standard compared to the average black American? How do you explain these things in a worldview that does not account for the existence of systemic racism?
I feel like America's just kind of like catching up with itself. Obviously, the original colonists were all white. We just got to a point less than 100 years ago where black people are equal to white people. So I think America's kind of just catching up with itself.
So when you say America's catching up with yourself, what does that even mean? Are you saying that like the reason why like black individuals are significantly over-policed, they account for 45% of exonerations, and they have significantly less influence and representation within positions of power, and their socioeconomic standards are lower, is because of the long-term effects of slavery and its aftermath?
I mean, I think it put them. I guess you did prove me wrong.
Because guess what? The long-term effects of slavery and its aftermath is an example of systemic racism in America today. Listen, man, that's my view. And I think that it is a very common sense view when you actually start to think about it. And I'm not going to lie, dude, when I was younger, I didn't think that systemic racism existed. People would talk about it. I'd be like, what are these nonsensical liberals saying? But, the more I thought and I engaged in these discussions, the more I was like, holy shit, like they're right.
You want to know where racism like outright exists towards Americans though? When I was stationed in Japan, dude, they hated Americans. Like I couldn't even catch a taxi without an X being thrown out saying "Not American, not American." Like there are countries that are actually outright racist, and I don't think America is one of them. Like they're just,
hey man, I'd like to clarify that American is not a race.
I mean, they're racist towards all Americans. I guess it's racism towards
listen, man, if there was somebody that was serving in the military that was in Japan and couldn't get a taxi because they're American that was black, would you still say like that was...
No, that's still racism. Yes, 100%. Well, I don't know
So
what what would
it's
be the
more so
term.
reference as like xenophobia.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what the term for, not really racism, but I guess racism toward a certain nationality. I'm not really too sure what that is.
So quote unquote racism towards a certain nationality um, is uh, is called xenophobia.
Oh, well, I'm not too caught up with all that. All I,
And I mean, hey man, maybe there is a lot of people in Japan uh, that hold some prejudice towards Americans. What did America do to Japan?
what did Japan do to us first? We didn't even.
So you're right. Like the Japanese military committed Pearl Harbor, but we
Yeah,
dropped
that on
nukes
a
on them.
Sunday morning, people were having church, dude. Have you
Like
seen like the documentaries?
like we dropped 2 nukes on the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. That'd be like.
Do you think that that might explain like some like prejudice towards Americans?
I mean, I'm just one of those guys. I'm a very
Oh,
patriotic
also, what
person.
did you just say? Because I wasn't listening. What did you say?
I said I would just say like
And then
any
also, let's not treat like maybe I'm at fault for a little bit of this too. I need to reframe and say something real quick. So I just asked you like, what do we do to Japan? Then you're like, well, what did Japan do to us? And I just kind of let it slide. But let's not treat Japan as a monolith, okay? Because when I asked you what America did to like Japanese individuals, we dropped 2 nukes on them that killed over 300,000 people. And then your response to me was like, well, what did they do to us? Well, the 300,000 individuals that were unalived by the 2 nukes we dropped on the country did nothing to us, okay? That was something that was committed by the Japanese military in accordance with the powers that existed at hand in the country at that given point in time.
I'm not gonna say that it's wrong for all those civilians to be killed. However, they
Wait,
took a
you're not
shot.
going to say it's wrong? I would.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Then also like internment camps. Okay. Do we remember where we had internment camps in America where we would just straight up arrest, detain, and place individuals in internment camps if they like quote unquote like look Japanese?
yeah, that's pretty messed up. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's
Um,
it's 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 terrible, dude.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I like if Japan took a shot at us and we gave them a shot back.
Well, I've already responded to that. You're treating Japan like a monolith. The 300,000 individuals that were killed by the nukes we dropped on them, what shot did they take at us?
What would you do? What would you do if someone bombed your neighborhood with all your family over there, and when you had the power to strike back or send soldiers in individually and hope that they do a good job, when you can just cause a mass destruction and just eliminate
Listen,
the threat?
listen. So first and foremost, you're saying eliminate the threat. I don't think that the 300,000 Japanese citizens that were killed by the nukes were the threat. Okay.
No, but
And
there are
also, I'd like to
multiple
clarify here,
civilians.
without you interrupting me, that hey, I'm not a wartime strategist. I don't claim to be a wartime strategist. I think the best that I could do, like I won't suggest like the most preferable view. I'll just merely suggest a view that is more preferable than dropping 2 nukes on the country. Like a more preferable view to respond to Japan because of Pearl Harbor, compared to dropping 2 nukes on the country, we could have sent special operative teams into the country to specifically like coup the powers that be over the country that decided to commit Pearl Harbor,
It's
right?
that it's
Coffee, thank you so much for the space cap.
there's
And I'm
more.
not saying that's the most preferable view. I'm just saying that that is significantly more preferable to like dropping 2 nukes on the country and killing 300,000
not
civilians.
not for the longevity of America, because that there was we were going into a World War II. That was our entrance pretty much into a
So
World
are
War.
you saying that dropping the nukes was necessary?
I mean, for us to go into a World War and to prevent more American soldier casualties, yes, 100%.
Okay,
It
I'm
took
just
them
saying.
out, didn't it?
So
It took them out.
okay, hey, real quick, um, I have a question. Would you be okay with Palestine nuking Israel to prevent the casualties of more innocent Palestinians?
I am a America should stay to itself type of person.
But I
I,
just want to ask you real quick if would you
if
be
I was a
okay? Well,
Palestinian,
because
or if I
like
was an
let's just
Israeli.
apply these ideologies to places outside of America. Like, would you be okay with Palestine literally dropping like 4 fucking nukes on Israel just to end the death of innocent Palestinians.
Okay, am I talking as an American, Palestinian, or Israeli?
You're talking as you?
As an American, I really wouldn't care. That's that. I feel like America.
Fucking hell, dude. Okay, so you're just like devoid of empathy. Like these views are so evil, man. When you're saying, oh, it was absolutely necessary to kill like 300,000 individuals with the nukes, where like children's skin melted, okay, and they were left a pile of dust. Children, okay, toddlers, 5-year-olds, their skin melted off of their bones, and they died from radiation. And then everybody outside of the immediate blast zones, you're saying that was necessary to serve the best interests of America. I think that this is going from protecting our country to just belligerently killing innocent people with very harmful and disgusting senses
honestly,
of imperialism, false patriotism, and just a absolute void and lack thereof any level of emotion, empathy, or care for others because of like your nationality. And I think it's funny that earlier you were bringing up that you felt as if racism was more predominant outside of America by saying that a Japanese cab driver wouldn't let you in the back of their car. But then you turn around and you say that it's not as prominent in America, even though you, an American, are now saying that it was okay for us to melt the skin off of 300,000
I didn't say it.
individuals.
When did I say it's okay? When I said I simply
You said
don't
it.
care.
You said it was. Exactly.
I said I simply don't care.
Saying that you simply don't. Yeah, exactly. So what, dude? Saying that you don't care is saying that it's okay. So like, what's worse? Not letting an American in the back of a Japanese cab, or you saying that you simply don't care about the skin melting off of like innocent women and children, dude?
Dude, like I said, I feel I am.
No, tell me which one is worse.
I said America should stay to its own.
That's not what I asked you.
I mean, we can go back and forth.
So I want you to answer my question. Which one is worse? A Japanese cab not letting you in the back of their car? Are you saying that you simply don't care about the skin melting off of 300,000 innocent Japanese individuals?
I was bringing up the Japanese cab incident as a show of actual racism. I don't really care that I wasn't able to get in the back of the cab, just like I don't really care that.
So will you answer my question?
I mean, obviously the children getting skin melted is worse. But
okay. So I just want to clarify. If you think that, first of all, it's not fucking racism. America isn't a race. It's called xenophobia. If you think it's xenophobic for that cab driver to not let you in the back of their car, and that's a show of actual xenophobia, well, what are you showing to us right now? Like a level of xenophobia, and which is just like never been seen ever on this earth before? Because if a Japanese cab driver not letting you in their car is like the end of the world, well, like holy fucking shit, you saying that you don't care about the skin melting off of 300,000 Japanese innocent civilians during World War II must be what? Like Thanos snapping half of the universe away, right? Like that is generationally terrible xenophobia.
But why does America have to get involved in every country's problems?
Nothing what you're saying is relevant to what I'm saying right now. You're being absolutely so fucking... dude.
Answer the question. Why do we need to get involved in every country's matters?
What's the relevance of this to the conversation that we're having?
I'm asking you. Why does America need to get involved with Palestine, Israel, Russia, Ukraine? Who cares? That's not American. I think America should stay to themselves. And that's just facts.
Okay, so just say it out loud. Tell me, Dean, you are absolutely changing the topic of conversation because you can't handle the heat, and then I'll let you change the topic of conversation because you can't handle the heat, and I'll respond to your claims.
Dean, whatever you just said, yeah, you can. Yeah, that's what I said. I can't take the heat. Let's move on to the next thing.
Great. Well, I mean, let's just test for the consistency of your ideas here in the context of isolationism. So, real quick, do you think that it was a good thing for America to involve themselves on the European front of World War II to combat Nazi Germany?
Honestly, no. I think we should have stayed out of that war as well.
Okay. So you think that Nazi Germany should be left to their own devices?
I said America should stay out of it.
Okay, why?
Yes, because they were pushing communism on all the surrounding countries.
So, no, they were pushing an authoritarian dictatorship. You don't know what communism is.
Communism is pretty much if I'm making the same amount as everybody else, isn't it?
No, it's not.
You explain communism.
Communism in a nutshell, okay? I know a lot of leftists are about to say, boo, Dean, you have no clue what communism is. In a nutshell, communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society. It gets a lot more complex, a shit ton more complex, but
Yeah, so
there's
pretty
like a
much.
very basic running definition.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
and
pretty
when
much
we're
the only thing.
referencing Nazi Germany, they were not communists. In fact, they were not even socialists. So they were like a fascist regime that upheld like an authoritarian dictatorship, with like the states owning some means of production just to like further state control, to aid and abet inside of like an authoritative fascist regime, like, and that has like really nothing to do with like communism or socialism, not really.
Huh?
So they weren't communist.
Okay. Well, like I said, I feel like America should have just stayed to themselves. I feel like the only country we owe anything to would probably be France, and that's because they helped us form as a country.
Hey, I have a question. So if your neighbor had a young daughter, and your neighbor had left that young daughter at home alone, and then some burglar came in and started to assault that young daughter, would you do anything to help that young girl that was being assaulted?
Yeah, absolutely. Call
Okay,
nine.
why?
You said what?
Okay, why?
Because it's a little girl.
Okay, so you think that in some sense, if you have the ability to prevent very atrocious human rights violations such as child rape, that you're almost obligated to prevent morally atrocious human rights violations such as child rape, insofar as to the extent that you're able to.
Yeah, but I know you're
Okay.
about
Well,
to turn.
so this idea alone, I just want to
You're
clarify.
turning this into.
This idea alone rejects the version of isolationism that you're describing, because this is the exact line of thought that I would use to justify an American involvement on the European front of World War III,
Look,
because we had the ability to, help reject the Holocaust and the genocide not only of Jewish individuals, but of gay individuals, of Romani individuals, of black individuals, of individuals with certain with other related conditions. And it is like I was thinking about like the specific classification. It's just not coming to mind. But
Dean,
anyways,
you're
and I'd
you're
say for that
applying.
reason, involvement would be justified, and like there's almost like an obligation that existed there for involvement.
Dean, you're applying an individual going to a neighbor's house to a whole country with affairs and government. There's a complete difference there. It's
Okay, so what's the
obviously
relevant distinction? Why is this principle true for you and your neighbor, but not true for America and the Holocaust?
one of them is an American, and an individual is attacking a girl, versus an entire country that America would be getting involved in. So yeah, that's the big distinction there. You can't really. You can't really
So I
compare
mean,
the
you're
two.
naming like differences, and of course differences will exist because if it's merely analogous, it's not identical. But I don't find that to be a relevant difference. I'd say that America did something good by involving themselves on the European front of World War II, because like Germany was actively killing millions of people, and maybe the American involvement on the European front of World War II helped slow the deaths of those killed at the hands of the Holocaust and the genocide onset by Nazi Germany, and that's a good outcome.
And what? Okay, so if you're all for ending war between.
Also, Johnny, thank you so much for the raid, man. Thank you so much, everyone. Please show some love to Johnny.
If you're all for stopping all these wars, then why aren't you happy with Trump stopping the Russian and Ukrainian war?
Because the way that he wants to quote unquote stop it is just to give Russia Ukraine. That's like
He wants
stopping
to
the
give them a
Holocaust
portion of
by
Ukraine.
just giving Nazi. I just want to clarify. That's like stopping the Holocaust by just giving Nazi Germany all the means that they would need to finish their eradication of all Jewish individuals on Earth.
I mean, but the thing is, Russians aren't. If the war ended, they wouldn't be killing Ukrainians, and if they did, then that's a different story.
Yeah,
However,
because all the Ukrainians would either already be dead or pushed out of the region.
well, I'm I'm not a huge debater. I just wanted to express, come on here and express that me, along with 99.9% of every veteran, because I used to ask people all the time, and all of them would say, yeah, fuck Biden, fuck Kamala, we don't want her. Like, people joking about quitting if they go in office, and it's like, there's an outright
Hey, I have a quick
difference.
question. Do you think that doctors would know anything about serving in the American military?
I mean, they could, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that was a bad example because there's doctors in the
Combat
American
medic.
military. Yeah. Let me ask you about a question. Do you think that a civil engineer would know anything about serving in the American military?
Yep, there's combat engineers.
A civil engineer that tests soil in the middle of Colorado. Would they know anything about what it's like to serve in the American military?
I mean, all you
I
got to
guess
do
there's a
is
lot
pick
of
up a
profession. There's a lot of professions and industries in the military. I'm simply asking you about a career individual that operates on American soil outside of the military. Would they know anything about the military? Would a veterinarian? Would a
Probably not.
veterinarian working in the middle of California know anything about the experiences that you and your buddies have gone through serving in the American military?
Yes, we actually do have veterinarians as well in the military. There's jobs for everything. They all have to go through basic training, so yes.
Okay. Would I think that like you understand what I'm saying and you're just completely missing the point. Would a
All I'm
zookeeper in the
saying
middle?
is
No, listen to me.
the big
No. You stop. Would a pastry chef
okay, yeah.
working? Would a pastry
Zookeeper.
chef? Would an interior designer? Would would an interior designer in Oklahoma know anything about serving in the American military?
They do have designers for all the vehicles.
You know what I'm saying? An interior designer
You
that's
had me at
completely
zookeeper.
outside.
Zookeeper, you had me at. You had me at
Okay, would a
zookeeper.
zookeeper know anything about serving in the American military?
Probably not. But
Okay,
if they're
so
a
then why
veteran-
should we expect somebody in the American military to know about politics? All that I'm
But the
saying
thing-
is
but the
that
thing
you have,
is-
one moment, Spud, you have your special interests that you know a lot about, okay? You know a lot about how to engage in combat scenarios, how to operate like pew-pews, how to shoot RPGs, and how to like scale a wall in under 30 seconds. And you're likely also probably very physically fit. And you could carry a backpack for a 10-mile hike, okay? Right? But none of like the special knowledge in which is required to be a service member in the American military, like necessarily implies that you won't therefore be ignorant to American politics, or you therefore will be knowledgeable of social issues, knowledgeable of economic policy, knowledgeable about governmental reform. So when you tell me that a lot of service members support Trump, that doesn't mean that Trump is better for service members. That just means that a lot of service members think that Trump is better for them. Okay? And the reason why the claim that Donald Trump is better for service members is false is because A, the Biden-Harris administration just simply did more for the American military. They passed the PACT Act, investing $800 million into the expansion of VA healthcare benefits, and passed the biggest pay increase since Bush. What the fuck did Trump do? And then secondly, is because Donald Trump fights against everything you fight for. You fight to protect American civil liberties and freedoms. In 2020, Donald Trump fought to take the right to vote away from every single American when he tried to steal the election from Biden. You fight to protect free speech. Donald Trump fights to take that away by advocating for imprisonment for individuals that burn the American flag or calling media organizations illegal. In a more general sense, you fight for the Constitution. Donald Trump fights to take that away. On December of 2022, he literally called for its termination. Okay? So everything you fight for is something Trump fights against. So why the fuck would you support him if you're literally willing to put your life on the line to make sure he never succeeds?
Oh, sorry. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I cut off. I wanted to say I don't know what that pay increase where it came from, but none of us saw any like. It was like $10. What the fuck is $10 and an increase gonna get us for a month? Like, come on. That we get paid shit in the military, and that's fine. That's fine. But the the grand majority of the fighting force of America supports Trump, at least from my experience. And I was in California. I was in Fort Irwin. You know where that is?
And can you please respond to the substance of my argument? I detailed very clearly how you fight for everything Trump fights against. Okay, and I'd like you to respond. I'd like you to respond.
I'm just, like I said, dude. Like, it's just like, I don't believe Trump goes against it. Like, I'm all for owning guns. I'm all for illegal immigrants.
I'm gonna give you my evidence. December 9th, 2022, Donald called for the termination of the American Constitution in a Truth Social post. 2 weeks ago, he called CNN and MSNBC illegal. In both of his campaigns, 2015 and 2024, he said that he wants to imprison people for burning the American flag. In 1978, the Supreme Court ruled that was protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah, you don't think...
In 2020, Donald Trump installed fake slates of electorates to try to coup the outcome of the 2020 election and rig the vote from all seven key swing states that Biden won to send votes to Congress saying that he won them, and they admitted to it in court. There's the evidence that he does stand against everything that you fight for.
First of all, I wanted to re-clarify this. You think burning the American flag is okay?
I said it's constitutional.
It's constitutionally okay. You think burning the flag of the country that you're living in is okay?
It's a conversation that is neither here nor there, and a complete pivot away from any substantive conversation.
Well, you just said it, though. You literally just said it.
My position on the morality of burning the American flag does not matter in this conversation.
But you said it's under the Constitution. So if burning of the American flag is under the Constitution and protected as freedom of speech, I'm all for a reformation of the Constitution, 100%, 100%. Why would you burn the flag of the country that you're living in and relying on? You know, I just don't agree with that. So yeah, if that's okay under the Constitution, maybe it does need a little bit of reformation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first and foremost, I don't even know what you fought for at this point. I mean, I feel like I hear it all the time. Service members saying that they fight against tyrannical governments and they fight to defend our non-tyrannical democratic government. But now you're saying that it should be so bad that people should be able to go to jail if they want to protest their government, given they become tyrannical. I have a question. Isn't this exactly what the Second Amendment resembles? Is the idea that we should be able to bear arms and form militias to overthrow our tyrannical government if need be?
Yeah, but the thing is...
Yeah? So I have a question. I have a question. So what constitutional right is more anti-American? Allowing citizens to kill their government if it's tyrannical, or allowing citizens to burn the government's flag if it's tyrannical?
I mean, I think all forms, no matter what side of burning the American flag, even if Biden was president, I still think burning the American flag is extremely wrong. I think...
Okay. You're just not even going to address the substance. Okay. Do you fight to protect free and democratic elections in America?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Donald Trump fights against that. No. Wait. Donald Trump fights against that. He tried to coup the free and democratic election results in 2020 by stealing it from Biden. He sent fake slates of electorates to every single key swing state that Biden won, and he told them to send fake votes back to Congress saying that Trump won them, and then he pressured Mike Pence into certifying them as real, and he pressured the DOJ into falsely announcing widespread voter fraud, and they admitted to it all in court. So you just told me explicitly that you fight for something that Donald Trump fights against. That Donald Trump fights against. Explain it.
Well, like I said, maybe it's just straight off his personality. There's a lot of people that like him. Regardless of his...
No, stop. Be very specific in your explanation.
Hey,
you explicitly vocalize something you fight for, and I was able to explicitly vocalize how Donald Trump fights against it. This shows that Donald Trump doesn't stand with you.
Even if he doesn't...
you are willing to literally lose your life and die to protect free and democratic American elections, but then you support the president that launched the biggest internal attack on free and democratic American elections since the Civil War?
Well, I mean, like I said, I feel like Kamala, and there's another big thing about Kamala Harris. I don't
want to hear about Kamala Harris. I want to hear about why you support a president that is trying to end something that you will literally die to protect.
I can't take the heat. Let's move on to the next one. All right. Kamala, I don't think she'd be
Kamala.
good for the country. And whatever, fucking Kamala Harris, whatever.
Kamala.
I don't think she would be good for the country. All right, man, you gonna let me
Just
talk?
call her Harris.
I don't think the rest of the I don't think the rest of the world is ready for a female to be in power of a big country like that. Like, look, 66% of the world does not women do not have the same rights as men. So how do you think other countries are going to react globally if we have a female as president? And I'm not sexist. I'm just saying the rest of the world is.
So I'm going to. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong in 2 sentences, and you're going to contradict yourself, and then you're just going to brush it off like it never happened. Are you ready?
All right.
Is a significant portion of countries outside of America are they like pretty like racist? Is there a lot of anti-black racism that exists on the global stage?
I mean, there's there's racism in all
So
countries.
does that mean that nobody should have voted for Obama because the rest of the world wasn't ready for a black president?
No, there are black presidents all in Africa. I know I think Greenland
Okay.
and Denmark have female presidents, but that's about it.
Okay. So this is kind of like an example of the contradictory logic, because you're saying that sexism is prevalent in other countries, just like anti-black racism
Absolutely.
is prevalent in other countries. And by the way, you forgot like Mexico, New Zealand, the UK, a couple others. It doesn't matter. But anyways, here's my point. If you would say that therefore the world is not ready for a leader that's a woman, this would also imply that the world would not be ready for a leader that's black. However, you obviously reject that, like any semi-rational person would be. Also, I have a question. Do you think that a lot of ableism exists on the global stage insofar as the world not being ready for a leader that, let's say, uses a wheelchair?
Ableism. I mean, it kind of depends if it's like dementia or something like that, like Biden had, whatever.
Biden didn't have dementia, but like I'm talking about somebody that would maybe use a wheelchair.
A wheelchair, yeah, that's fine. I think they would, as long as they're and is it president of this
Do you
country
think
or
that
a
the rest of
small
the like there's very prevalent ableism in the rest of the world? Like people would view somebody that would say use a wheelchair as somebody that is less likely to be able to be good at leading.
I don't think having a wheelchair has any effect on how you're able to lead. No.
Oh, you just took your mask off. You just exposed the fuck out of yourself. Wow, that was the craziest unintentional Freudian slip ever, because now you've changed the conversation from saying that you don't think that we are ready for a president that's a woman because other countries may not think that women are good at leading. And you've now shifted the conversation to saying that you wouldn't mind a disabled president because you don't think being disabled impedes upon your ability to lead. So why does being a woman impede upon your ability
Because
to lead?
in a lot of other countries, they're not allowed. They don't have the same rights as men. So imagine a woman coming to the table for diplomatic concerns and trying to express. She wouldn't be taken serious at the end of the day. I don't think she'd be taken serious.
Hey man, I'm gonna just go ahead and just be honest with you, because obviously you're unwilling to engage with any of the prior arguments I've given you, and you're being incredibly bad faith. Anybody that's standing in front of a country with the world's largest GDP, the world's biggest consumer base that accounts for 30% of global commerce, that also stands in front of the world's largest military by over a factor of 2, will be forced to be taken seriously by the leadership of every other country on earth if they want to fucking swim and stay alive. So it is the case that if we had a woman leading our country, misogynistic world leaders would be forced to take her seriously if they want to function in the global economy. If they want to stay alive, they will have to bow the knee to the world's largest fucking company, and that's the world's largest fucking government, and that's a fact. So when you're saying that other world leaders want to take her seriously, okay, well if they don't, they lose, we win, right? They'd be forced to take anybody running our country seriously, and like, hey, that's a big reason like why a lot of other countries are very scared of Trump now, because like Donald Trump is a fucking bully that they have to take seriously, because this bully is in charge of the world's largest fucking economy, the world's largest military, the world's most richest country, right? But the same thing would be true of a woman, okay? Right? So when you tell me that a woman would be less effective at running our country because other world leaders wouldn't take her seriously, It's absolutely wrong, A, because more world leaders respected Kamala Harris than world leaders that respect Trump. And B, they'd be forced to take her seriously because she would be standing in front of the world's largest economy, biggest military, and richest country on the face of this planet. Right? But I just want to let you know, this is just another reflection of sexism and of misogyny. In fact, you are advocating for an intentional glass ceiling for all American women and girls. By saying that you didn't vote for Harris because she's a woman, you're saying that women shouldn't lead, point blank, period. You're saying that if you're a woman, regardless of what your accomplishments are, regardless of how many degrees you have, regardless of how many years you've spent in public offices, regardless of your abilities, knowledge, intellect, know-how, personal ability, etc., you should never be able to become president. And there's a brick ceiling that exists between you and that position because of your gender identity, because of what's in between your legs. Okay? And that's disgusting.
Like I said, I don't. That's not the only reason I didn't vote for Kamala.
Her name is Kamala. Pronounce her name right.
Kamala. Okay, fine.
And then also, once again, just to prove you wrong, more world leaders respect Harris than those that respect Trump.
Really? Because
honestly, I bet every single one of those misogynistic world leaders would actually prefer Harris was our president right now compared to Trump.
Wasn't she the emissary before the Ukrainian and Russian war started? Wasn't she sent as the emissary, and then a day later they started bombing each other?
Who did she meet with?
She met with Putin.
That's not true.
Or Zelensky, one of them.
That's just simply not true. So, like, see, the issue here is that you just, like, straight up, like, spread blatant misinformation and propaganda. So what you're saying is wrong. No.
Well, and regardless of that, she's weird, dude. Like, she had a different accent for every rally she went to. Like, she's just trying too hard. She's just trying. And I think it was weird. And I don't think many people could take her serious as she's doing stuff like that, you know? And you can't deny the fact that she changed her accent at every fucking rally. You can't.
Hey, man, I have a question. Do you know what AAV is?
Who?
Who? Do you know what African American Vernacular English is?
No.
Okay. So AAVE is a dialect or vernacular of English, right? In which is very predominant amongst Black Americans, and the historicity relates to the transatlantic slave trade and the existence of Black individuals in America today, okay? And historically. Now, AAVE is very stigmatized by white Americans today and has been also historically stigmatized by white Americans, okay? Right? White Americans like to call AAVE, quote-unquote, ghetto. They like to call AAVE, quote-unquote, uneducated. They like to look at Black individuals who speak in this perfectly valid vernacular, just as valid as one in which I'm speaking in or you're speaking in, and they like to say that it's wrong, okay? So the way that Black individuals that speak in AAVE have responded to this is to code switch. What does code switching mean? It means that they will speak in AAVE in front of people who they don't think will stigmatize them for it. But when they're in front of a predominantly white audience who they know will stigmatize them for it, they will not speak in AAVE. So when you're telling me that Kamala Harris has spoken in different accents at different rallies, well, in the rally in which I believe there's clips of her speaking in AAVE, she had a more predominantly Black audience who she knew would not stigmatize her for speaking in AAVE compared to the predominantly white America that would look at her speaking in AAVE and say that she is less educated, say that she's ghetto, say that she is dumb, all right? And it's actually funny because you are perpetuating other racist implications inside of the same circle right now. You're saying, oh, she spoke in AAVE, well, that means that she was a less qualified candidate. Oh, she code switched, well, that's something bad that she did, which is exactly why code switching exists in the first place.
So you're saying it's an intentional kind of thing, right?
I mean, well, honestly, it can be intentional. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and reserve myself. I'm a white guy. My best inference is it can be intentional. It can also be unintentional. But I don't know because I am white.
Yeah, like I said, it was intentional, and she was doing that to try and swing votes of certain crowds, which I don't even know why she was doing that. Everyone that attended her rally was more than likely already going to vote for her. So I don't know why she was trying to swing votes by changing her accent. It's kind
Oh
of
my
weird.
fucking god. Thank you for the galaxy. Dude, you're just going into that same shit once again. I mean, I don't know. It's just so gross, dude. It's like I give you a perfectly valid, kind-hearted, calm explanation. It goes right over your head, and the next thing you're saying is calling it fucking weird. Hey, you know what I think is weird? Graping Eugene Carroll. You know what I think is weird? Advocating for a permanent shutdown of all new Muslims entering into America. You know what I think is weird? Imposing countries on the rest of the planet fucking Earth, starting crashes in American stock markets, evaporating $4 to $5 trillion in thin air, and barreling America towards a recession. You know what I think is weird? Saying that you could racially profile immigrants, saying that they're good or bad based upon the way that they look, or saying that we should forcefully expel 2.1 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, or advocating for economic policy in which redistributes wealth from the poor to the rich. But apparently you don't think any of those things are weird. You think that MAGA is patriotic, fighting for this country, but fucking the World War III when a black woman code switches, it's that's what I think is weird, Spud.
Well, like I said, at the end of the day, more Republicans are in the military than Democrats. So if it came
Evan,
down
thank
to
you so
it,
much for the galaxy.
Republicans would be the ones fighting the wars, not Democrats. Like I said, I've seen one Democrat, one. That's it. That's literally it.
Hey, Jay,
And everyone else,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. What's going on, Santana? I appreciate you for being here. You do have a little bit of a bad connection. I thought I'd make that one clear. And then also, you're saying that at the end of the day, a lot of the people in the military are Republicans who will be fighting our wars. So, I mean, all that tells me is at the end of the day, it's going to be the Republican service members that don't fight the largest internal threat on our democracy since the Civil War, contradicting every single reason or motive that you could try to describe to me insofar as why you're serving in the first place.
But why don't Democrats feel the urge of patriotism to go in the military and go serve? Why?
Oh my fucking god!
Why didn't you?
Wait! No,
Why?
it's that the beliefs are more accepted inside of the military to be a Republican.
But that's not true.
Yes, it absolutely is. I come from a Republican county. Okay, it is significantly more promoted to be a Republican in Mesa County where I live. Many individuals who are born here are either indoctrinated into these beliefs, or have their beliefs switched over time because of the socialization of their popularity. That's also gonna be true of like service members. They either already had those beliefs prior to serving in the military, or they're indoctrinated into them while they're in the military. But I want to let you know that no fucking service member that supports Trump is a patriot to this country. So when you said, why do Republicans feel more of an urge to be patriotic? They don't. Because it's not patriotic to be a service member that supports Trump, because you take an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution, but then you turn around, bow the knee, and suck on the ring of a guy who explicitly called for its termination and tried to coup the outcome of a federal election.
First of all, I've never been really patriotic until
Exactly. Thank you. Wait, stop
Well,
the
no,
sentence
no.
now. You've never been patriotic, point blank, period.
Until until Biden came in, was our president, and I was in the Marine Corps currently, and just seeing clips of him, and then not only that, there is a clip of Kamala saying that she's pulled every service member from every.
I'm just gonna let real quick, Santana. I saw your text. You just said that your connection was bad. Do you want to try just to like? Okay, he dropped. Okay. Santana, feel free to re-request if you could if you just want to try out the connection that you have, or if you're in a zone with better connection. I would love for you to come up here. I would love it. I'd love it so much. Her name is pronounced Kamala Harris. You can't pronounce words, bro?
Hello.
Hey man, her name's pronounced Kamala.
Okay. Anyways, like I was saying,
I just want to clarify, you can't pronounce words.
like I have an accent. Sorry about that. Are you making fun of my accent now, Dean?
Oh wow, yeah, the guy with half
Well,
of his
no.
family.
I'm saying you talk about all this AOE. Now you're calling me out. When you
AOE,
said
dude,
it's
please get a third grade education. A southern accent does not prevent you from pronouncing Kamala Harris's name right. I'll do it right now. I'm Dean Withers, and I'm a southern son of a bitch, and I voted for Kamala Harris. Wow. spoken like a true Southern patriot. Isn't that right? Yeehaw. Feel free to unmute.
Okay, you done now?
I mean, I just want to make sure that you could pronounce words correctly. That's all.
It's my accent, Dean.
It's not. It's not your dude. I literally corrected you
You
on it
just got
earlier, and then
done
you pronounced
talking
it right
about. You
one
just got
time.
done defending Kamala about her accents at different rallies. Now you're
Unironically,
talking,
this has nothing to do with the accent that you're speaking in. Say comma
comma,
and say la,
la,
and put those two words together.
Kamala.
Comma.
I'm just messing with you. Comma.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with your fucking accent, you piece of shit.
All right, but anyways, like I was saying, at the end of the day, regardless if it's considered patriotism or not, the people that entered the service are, and I, like I said, look, first of all, like I said, I was never patriotic until Biden was the president. Never. I just do what I'm told,
Hey,
you know.
one second.
And then I just start.
Just real quick. You're no longer a valuable person to have on my live stream. What do you do to a soccer ball? Oh God, you don't even know? You don't even know what you do with the soccer ball?
You kick it.
That you do. That you do. You do kick it, Spud.